We're in 4 high.
Hey, look at that. We're off-roading in a TRD-Pro. That's weird.
We're about to.
Hey, look at us.
Hey.
It's actually muddy out there.
Welcome to the 2020 TRD Tacoma.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels dedicated to great cars, driving adventures, and helping you find a car you'll love.
subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing.
This isn't just any old Tacoma. And I admit to being a child of the 80s when, you remember Ivan Stewart? And he was driving the Desert Runners, and he was competing in the Ironmans, and he was driving Toyota trucks, and it made such an impression on me because I was following this guy and just thought, man, not only is he a great driver, he's driving some of these really cool, tough Toyota trucks, and it just left this impression in my mind that this size of truck was just the tough thing. But it wasn't ever luxurious. It wasn't ever meant to be anything more than just off-road all the time. If you're not off-roading, it's kind of pointless, which is what the TRD-Pro is. If you're not off-road all the time, it's pointless.
Best on earth, meaning don't take it on pavement. It actually doesn't. Here's the thing. This is as loaded as you can get a TRD-Pro, and I'm going to put this out there right away. It's $50,000.
It's
now,
expensive.
The base Tacomas are still surprisingly off-road capable. We've been lots of places and seen guys in Tacomas, or tacos as they want to call them, taking them everywhere. This is everything you can do for off-road. It's got these Fox shocks and all kinds of other things. It's got the snorkel, which they actually call like the desert breather package.
Yeah, they never make reference to water.
Yes,
you notice
which
that?
I really wanted to find water in, but we didn't find a river crossing. We did find mud. But it's $50,000 for this.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, if you go off-road, it might be worth it. If you go on-road, I think it's pretty questionable.
Well, I like it when manufacturers use suppliers that aren't necessarily the typicals. In this case, it's Fox shocks, but there's the Rigid Industries lighting on here, and they didn't go completely crazy. Just specking out all kinds of stuff.
We're still in 4 high too. We're just thundering along in the mud in 4 high. Haven't even challenged this thing yet.
But I also like that TRD is really the in-house tuning, not just for sports cars, but it is for trucks. So there's TRD Sport, which is sort of like the light TRD. Then there's the TRD Off-Road. Both those are nothing in comparison to this thing. I mean, they're not nothing, but the Pro is another level
It
up
is, absolutely
in terms of off-road.
More skid plates, better shocks. It actually is designed to do this and much more. I mean, honestly, I was trying to think about competitors for this, and I can think of 2 main ones. The Jeep Gladiator.
Sure,
and the Chevy Colorado with the ZR2 pack.
Yeah.
Those are probably your best competitors. Now, in the case of both of those, the Gladiator, I would say, if you really are focused off-road, it might be a little better than this, but it's also bigger than this.
It's bigger, and you can spend more money.
But a Rubicon is going to cost you somewhere in the $50-$55 range. Let's be honest. So that's about the similar price to this.
Okay.
So that is the straight-up competitor, but it has a longer wheelbase, so your tip-over is going to be different.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
True.
But it is a Jeep product.
Oh, hello.
Pretty similar in, hey, that's fun.
They're going to wonder what we're doing up here.
Yep.
Hi, guys. Come on, baby.
Yeah, we got it.
No problem.
We got it, yeah. It's going to be similar, and I think it definitely has the same off-road cred as this does.
Sure.
But the Colorado is probably your better daily choice, but it might not be quite as capable.
I don't think there's any good daily choice out of any
out of those three.
You shouldn't be dailying them on pavement.
Fair.
If you're not doing this, you've missed the point.
Yeah.
This
we're
just
thrown around, but we're having fun, aren't we?
There's no problem for
this
thing.
Again, we're in 4 high. We haven't even bothered with 4 low yet, and this is, by the way, that mud that you imagine, that's that mud they make in movies, where it's
mud.
It's that mud that has weight to it but doesn't come off anything. That's what's on this road right now. It is a nasty day in Utah right here.
Totally. It's got the V6. It's got 278 horsepower and almost 65 torque, so pound-feet of torque.
That's a standard Toyota motor. It's used in a lot of things.
But what's cool about this is Toyota still offers the manual transmission with this particular V6. You can option at that. We do not have that. We've got the 6-speed automatic. And I I appreciate the automatic, especially in times like this. And you do get something with the automatic you don't get with the manual. You get crawl control and the multi-terrain select mode. If you get the manual, you don't get those things, but you do get an anti-lock system. So that is kind of a little bit of a difference, and it just kind of depends on what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be driving.
Yeah.
We've picked this uphill, very muddy dirt road, and this is just perfect. This thing wants to drive up this.
Yeah, it does.
The suspension is brilliant on a road like this.
For this, it's brilliant.
It's terrible on road.
Yes.
It's even worse than just a regular off-road 4x4.
It's much worse than every other pickup we've driven.
Magnified.
We've driven a lot of late. Honestly, on road, it's one of the worst riding vehicles we've driven in a long time.
Look at
and
this.
it is so stiffly sprung that it gets tossed around by the wind and imperfections.
Yeah.
Which doesn't matter here when you're on road, like driving on your commute.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how much crosswinds affected this thing.
Yeah.
Just a crosswind on a freeway was
felt
tough.
it like crazy. Yeah. So this does have the multi-view camera system, which is specific.
Turning on its own.
It does. It's on auto.
It shows us what's happening, yeah.
It's on auto mode. I love that throwing tech at things kind of takes you to the next level of off-roading.
Okay.
And that's what Toyota has done. You can only get that on the Pro versions, and this is just eating everything. Okay, so TRD has lightened up the wheels from the 2019 truck. They've lost just over 4 pounds per wheel.
Really?
So TRD is continuing to do their own development, but then they'll spec things, again, like the Fox shocks. They'll start to do other supplier kinds of things. And I like that TRD is putting that kind of development into the off-road capability, because these Toyotas are just, it feels so solid.
Yeah,
It just is the right truck.
Well, and then this is essentially the same truck that they've been making as the Tacoma for about 15 years. This has been around a long time like this. It's one of those things where if you bought a brand new one or a 10-year-old one, most people are not going to be able to tell the difference. But you're right, there is refinement in tech behind the scenes. Of course, now we've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and all that kind of stuff. We've got sunroofs. I mean, this is classed up as much as it can be, except, of course, again, for ride.
Right.
But the ride is perfect for this madness.
You expect sort of a luxury feel, and you know, you've got certain standards when you
At
get in a
50
car.
grand, yes.
Exactly right. And then you get in and you think, okay, well, this seems pretty basic until you go do this.
Yeah, true.
And we didn't chuck it off a dune. You know, we actually have to return this press car.
We
have to return it to Toyota.
Yeah.
But this is what it's designed to do. And it feels right at home, honestly.
Yeah.
On road, it's terrible. I don't like it at all. And I've fallen in love with it on this road.
It's funny because we drove to this location both kind of like grumbling and grating our teeth a little bit.
This?
Now that we're here, we're like, this is amazing, because it just doesn't care. It's perfectly happy.
Todd has found the inclinometer and the pitch and roll gauges here. That's sort of the, oh crap, kind of meter, you know, at what level do you start rethinking your purchase and how much money this cost?
Exactly. We still have our camera.
That's good.
Novel. You went through some bushes pretty close, and it stayed on, which is good.
All right.
The mud is perfect.
The mud is perfect.
The mud is perfect. Sorry?
This is so perfect.
Rivers of mud flowing
perfect.
past me as I walk around the car. Glad I wore the mud shoes.
Put on the wellies.
It's great. One surprise for me, actually a few surprises for me at this price point when I think about it in daily livability.
Okay.
This has a lot of noise. I know this sounds weird, but these wiper motors, they're genuinely loud in here. And you know it's parts that Toyota uses elsewhere. When you're driving anything other than how we're driving now, where noise really doesn't matter, the drivetrain has a ton of racket. The back half of this vehicle is just loud. Now, off-road, you don't care. If you are a person who's only ever owned Tacomas, if you're a person that has only ever owned pickups, you're going to be like, what are you guys talking about? It's perfectly normal. But not compared to things most people daily.
True, but I have to give it a hall pass. I have to just caveat it because
I know you are.
It's a truck, and I don't care. Maybe these are as noisy on other cars, but on this thing, I don't care. If it's noisy and grindy and rattly, and well, it's not rattly actually. If it's just kind of how it is, then I'm fine with that.
Another thing I noticed, the turning radius is terrible.
Oh yeah, it's a long wheelbase.
It's genuinely really bad. Well, but it's not that long a wheelbase. I mean, I'll give you a frame of reference. I have a Volkswagen Phaeton, much longer wheelbase than this. I did a standard U-turn that I've done 1,000,000 times in all of my cars, including the Volkswagen Phaeton, and nearly hit the curb. I had to stop and do that little backup thing you do to make sure you made it. This is smaller overall than the Phaeton is. So the turning radius is terrible. Now, again, we're off-roading, which is where this thing shines.
I didn't like this truck driving it around. In dry pavement, I didn't like being in this truck.
I hear you.
It was frankly terrible. And I've suddenly fallen in love with it on this road, in the muck, in the dirt. This is fantastic. I'm just grinning at how easily it navigates all this stuff. So, as far as the interior is concerned, you'll notice all the knobs are a bit oversized. Well, maybe not, but they have a bit of a grippy texture to them. A bit of a design here that's grippy.
Yep.
Except for the nav system, the radio, which are the tiniest, worst, smooth,
They're like
little
pencil
tiny
erasers.
knobs.
They're pencil erasers. It's crazy.
You can have the stereo going, you can have the air conditioner going like we are, and just cruising on wherever. And these little stupid tiny knobs need to be oversized so you can grab it with a glove, so you can grab it with fingers while you're bouncing around like this. I thought of that while we were driving on pavement. I thought, it's fine here. It's not going to be fine off-road, and you need to navigate through and use the knobs. Everything else is beefy and chunky, except for these two. They just dropped it in.
It's the
standard
knobs
head
need to
unit.
change. It's the standard head unit.
Hey,
look, it is.
How easy is this? It's got the proper handles. You can hang on. It needs another one right here.
For the passenger, or right here.
Or
one of the
here,
two.
or just handles you can just sort of wrap yourself around because
you can tie
this
yourself
thing
to the
is
car.
capable.
Yeah. This has rear drum brakes, which surprises me at $50,000. It does have a leaf spring system with these Fox shocks, which is nice on the TRD-Pro. This will tow about 6,500 pounds.
Well, yes, it's got to have the tow package on it, which I don't believe this is equipped.
Ours might not. That's fair. But it can tow 6,500 pounds, which is better than the Colorado.
Oh, okay.
And a little bit less than the Gladiator.
I've thought about the Tacoma just as a diehard Toyota person. If that's who you are, you're going to be all over this truck. This is going to be your truck. Because at this level, do you cross-shop this thing with capability? Because all of the trucks that you've named are very capable.
Yes.
But it comes down to brand loyalty.
A lot.
That's where this thing's sweet spot is. Now, it is obviously very capable. I'd almost rather be in this than anything else, but other off-road trucks have good capabilities too. This just seems bomb-proof to me.
I do like the size of this. I mean, if you get into something like the Gladiator, you've gotten significantly larger.
Yeah.
And I mean, we saw on this road as well, we saw one of those Polaris things, those off-road ATV things. And that is designed for this road. This size feels right on this road as well. I feel like a standard two-door Wrangler would feel all right, but like you get into the unlimited four-door or the Gladiator, those are big. And I start to think you'd think a lot more about your corners and be a little more concerned about your size in something bigger than this. This feels right sized for all trails.
Because we've got the long wheelbase, we've got the double cab here, and of course it's got the skid plates, but you think it wouldn't be quite as nimble as it feels. It feels really well suited, just the size and the wheelbase. All these breakovers that we've got, I keep feeling like we're going to scrape at some point, and we haven't yet.
No,
look at that. How easy is this?
It's just easy. It's
this
truly
is at
easy.
home on this road.
Yeah, for sure. Which is good, because it wasn't at home earlier when we drove to this road.
It's not at home. No.
Yeah, loud,
and that's
rough.
just it. So we have to come back to $50,000, and if you're driving it on pavement at all, and you're not doing this on a daily basis, why did you get the Pro? I have to ask. You have to go down off-road as far as you can go. Get the TRD Sport. Get some other pickup truck.
Yeah, and with the snorkel and all, I really wish we could ford a river, or maybe just a whole lake, or run through the desert.
Does the water come in?
It'd be awesome bouncing. Well, that's why we shouldn't do it, because we have to give the car back to Toyota. But I can just imagine.
Guys, the car smelled musty. Are you sure you didn't have it in a lake?
But I can just imagine thundering across the desert in this, with all the wheels bouncing. That'd be really fun. That'd be the opposite of what we're doing now, because of course I'm in first gear going slow. It would be super fun to do fast as well. But yeah, this is where you just go, oh, now I get it. The problem that I have is there's so much attitude in the look of this that I think there are going to be a lot of people that buy it for the look, and you've really sacrificed everything about how you're going to drive it daily. Granted, we buy for styling, I understand that.
Absolutely.
But
people
this
will always buy for style. And
this
for
is really hardcore if you're not doing off-road stuff. It's too much, honestly.
You need a ranch, you need property. This is the road to your house. And you put the super off-road tires or snows with chains in the winter, and you just cruise into your backwoods cabin.
I'm going to use the berms while I'm here, you know.
Sliding around.
This is very slick, but it's awesome. I don't feel the least bit concerned, but I'm completely aware of the fact that the surface is just slimy. And it's just
got
sliding
the
all over
slimy
the place.
top layer, and then it's kind of hard packed underneath. I'm super impressed with this thing, and like I said, hated it before we got here.
Yes,
and
truly,
as soon as we came up this road, I went, oh.
We both suddenly got it. We both suddenly got it. But that's the thing, is how often are you going to do this? That's the big takeaway for me, is are you going to do it enough to warrant the sacrifices the rest of the time?
Yeah,
because it's very sacrificial otherwise.
Let's get all splashy. Look at that. See, you just want to get this thing dirty. Toyota does not offer this in a color other than dirt. I'm kidding. It's black, white, gray, or this awesome army green.
Army green.
And this is the color that you want because everybody talks to you. Everybody loves this color.
Right. And I love that Toyota was smart enough to just call it what it is. It's army green.
Telling you, Toyota is going big and bold with much of their product line. They brought the sports cars back, and now they're just doing this. They are out there with their trucks.
Pretty cool.